All right, guys, we're back. The Healthy Swag. Um, I've got Dr. Q. I got Dr. Batiste in the room here with me. It's been a while. I think it's been a while since we've gotten together. We've got a
Not
lot of
too long.
topics to get to. I want to start with the book. I just learned that one of our esteemed co-hosts is an author and coming out with a book called Selfish, A Cure for a Stressed and Broken Heart. And could you just give us walk me through it a little bit before I'm going to read it. I promise you that. But
Appreciate
the
that.
title and the subtitle is really drawing me in. It's giving me mental health, mental strength vibes that I want to get into.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna tell you, starting off, I mean, just hearing you say this author right here, now that's crazy right here.
First time
That's
someone's referred to you as that.
first time
There you
someone,
go.
you
We're
right
making
out the box.
okay,
That's
okay.
that's
There
you,
we go.
man. I'm telling you.
Nice.
So
First book.
appreciate that. Yeah, first book, Labor
Nice.
of Love. I was saying what I've been saying the whole time. It's almost like when you have your child, you realize that your significant other is pregnant. You're wondering, what traits are they going to get? Are they going to get height? Are they going to have intelligence? They're going to be successful, and you're not sure, and you're hopeful, and you have some of the components that are there, but you're hoping that it's going to all play out right, and you're worried. But at some point, you have to give birth to that baby, and
Yeah,
so that's
yeah.
kind of where I'm at now. I believe all the ingredients are there. I think the script, the actors, the producers are all there. And I just hope the movie plays and it's well received. But I'm going to tell you, Selfish is really about something that everyone goes through. It doesn't matter if you're male, female, what race you are, everyone goes through a level of stress in their life, this mental angst, this
Hmm.
distress that's there. And one of the things that the book uncovers is the role in which this stress begins to manifest in the bodily form and begins to take hold as chronic disease.
Hmm.
And, oftentimes we turn to solutions in terms of pills, we turn to solutions and we hold the holy grail of just a food. But it's really, it's a complete thing. And I remember I'm a sports fan. So the second greatest basketball player ever, Michael Jordan,
Come on
right?
now. Come on
I'm
now.
just, I mean, well, I'm just saying, right?
Blasphemy.
You just added a half hour to this podcast. Now we got
I
to deal
know,
with that.
man. Dude.
Now we got to deal
So
with that
he's
blasphemy.
what he talked about is that if you want to be successful, you basically have to be selfish. And
Hmm.
that in order, and then once you achieve the level of success, you have to give back. And it got me thinking the tools I give to patients over the years. And it starts out, selfish is obviously an acronym. It starts off with spirituality and not necessarily just religion, but also an aspect of meditation, of prayer, of focus. That's what that does for you, of breathing, deep breathing that alleviates the stress. And so I began to watch how each of these pillars, now unfold them, how they actually work to offset heart disease, lower
Hmm.
stress hormones, and alleviate perceived stress. So we move through from the S is spiritual, the E for exercise. So not just like exercising faith and belief and purpose, but it's also movement,
Hmm.
activity, all these things of that nature. And we get it. What happens, forest bathing and being out in the sunlight, and what begins to transpire. The L stands for love. And so anyone who's loved anybody or anything understands that love is not a noun, it's a verb. It's an action word. It's action oriented. It requires forgiveness. It requires gratitude. It requires volunteering. And so when you embrace those components, there's actually literally studies that show lowering blood pressure, improved weight control. It shows improved longevity as you begin to do that and lower stress cascade. Of course, the F stands for food, real food, whole food, not made inside of a plant, but made of plants. We understand that I is intimacy, not of Dr. Q's intimacy of that sexual, although it can be that now. It can be that. We're talking
Why
about
not?
intimacy of community. Yeah, I'm saying it's no problem with that at all. You're not getting any complaints from me. But also it's about community. It's about relationships. It's about friendships. It's about those things that bond and connect us together. Understanding the adverse nature and stress inducing factor of loneliness. The second
Hmm.
S stands for sleep, rest, vacation, coming aside from like that work. And that the reality of it is that you actually do more by doing less. When we're in the throes of work, we think, okay, I got to put more into it. No, I'm actually more productive when I back away for a little bit and I
Hmm.
come back at it. And so walking through how that resets your stress perception, how it resets your stress hormone cascade, heals the broken heart. And then we move into the H is joy, the happiness, the joy of life. purpose that we get, and how these things all work together, that when you begin to get selfish, you now can live a life of purpose. When you get
Mm,
selfish, you can heal from the stress and the angst of life. When you get selfish, you can heal from a broken heart. So the reality of it is that there is a condition called stress-induced cardiomyopathy, or broken heart syndrome, that
mm,
happens from just the burden and the weight of stress that happens in life. In Japan, they call it karoshi. Inside of America, we call it takotsubo disorder, stress-induced cardiomyopathy. And so that's what selfish is. As I walk through personal stories in my own life, through a conglomerate patient that I have, in her story, as well as with anecdotal mixed with research, as well as with historical facts.
wow,
So
that is fascinating.
yeah, so are you purposefully reclaiming the word selfish in a positive light? It reminds me of the speech from Snoop when he got his star on Hollywood Walk, where he said, "You know who I want to thank? I want to thank me. I want to thank me for waking up at 5 a.m. to da 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 da, for investing in myself and thinking of myself." And everyone thought, like, "Oh, here, okay, Snoop saying something stupid again." But no, he was right. He was saying, I invested in myself. Is that am I on the same vibe here? Is that what you're doing?
You are. You are. I mean, I think, we have to reclaim this idea of selfishness, right?
Yeah.
And it's not selfishness for myself individually. It's like I'm rebuilding myself so I can now be of purpose, right? Like, what's my intention in life?
Yeah.
And here's the thing: when you're committed to whatever it is, whether or not you're going to be whatever your profession is, there's a level of selfishness that has to come into play for you to achieve that. You're gonna have to say no to certain things, to friends when they want to go out, to certain things when you're trying to achieve. I mean, look at I was listening to who was I listening to? I think it was Carmelo Anthony. He was on this podcast. He's talking about Braun. He was like, man, it's not gonna be another Braun. He goes, do you know how focused this dude is? How
Yeah.
committed he is when he puts his mind to something? He doesn't let anything stop him. From his nutrition to his training, he's waking up and everyone's like, dude, what are you doing? He talked about Kobe, talked about Braun, that DNA of champions. That's a level of selfishness to achieve that greatness. And so that doesn't elude us in everyday practice, in every day with our relationships, with our self and well-being, about our living our life. We have to be selfish, which means we're committed to a greater good. That's there.
Mm,
And
Yeah.
that's
I like that.
irrespective of the age you are, where you're at, your ethnicity, your gender, or anything else.
I like that. I like how you flip it. Like, you have to take care of number one, or else you're really not going to be useful to the others that you love. If you're not
Yeah.
around. Let me ask you this: did you have also in the book? Can someone expect, hacks or tidbits or things to gain selfishness, so to speak?
Absolutely. So, I mean, I think each individual section
Mhm.
can be read in its own section by itself, right? Without necessarily, it's not has doesn't have to go as a total package. You could take it and say, I'm just going to focus on the S right now, and the tips, and say, how do we go about really achieving this? What's a smart way? What's a specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time based that's according to you, your purpose, your lifestyle, your belief system that's there, right? And so you may choose for spirituality that, you know what, I'm not quite at the point where I'm looking into religion. I may just focus on my breathing and understanding that physiologic breath, which is like the kids do, she lowers your stress hormone. That when you're taking
Mhm.
that deep breath. So I was doing the procedure, man, Monday, and it got kind of hairy. And so I'm
Mm.
sitting there and I'm in there, sweat, couple hours, working on someone's arteries. I get out, my Oura ring, I happen to open up my phone, and now Oura ring will determine your stress level. And it
Wow.
was saying, you look like you've been stressed. I'm like, yeah, I've been stressed. And so it had on there like a little click. I could go in, I could do a little ahead, whatever it is, I forget, but whatever the app is for me to do a little meditation or breathing. I did a little breathing exercise in that moment to help lower it, the trigger, because I understood what was happening in my body in that moment.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And so I needed that feedback because it's easy to get used to feeling the way you feel. And that
Mhm.
feedback helped me to be able to implement a therapeutic intervention in that moment to help lower my stress hormones.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, I'm starting to pay more attention to stress levels and actually getting better at predicting it. So you start planning your next day and your evening. I'm starting to predict, oh, that's going to be stressful. Help me with the broken heart though in the subtitle.
Yeah.
That's throwing me for a second, especially for men. That doesn't seem like something that men are gonna gravitate to as having a broken heart. What made you put that in the title?
Well, because one of the biggest things that we're seeing is that there was a study that took place in 2004, and they told us that one of the greatest risk factors, everyone knows about diabetes and smoking and all this other stuff, but people don't realize the impact of stress, both in the professional level and the workplace level, that's predictive of recurrent heart attacks.
Mm.
That's predictive of high blood pressure, that we see this on a regular basis. And so stress takes many forms. So it's obvious to think of stress meaning that, hey, my demands are greater than my resources in life. Like I'm stressed, I'm pulled on all ends, but it's also environmental stress. It could be for those living in the inner city, the noise, the lack of sleep. It could be the pollution. All these things trigger the same sort of stress hormone cascade that impacts our body and makes us at risk. But you're correct in that broken heart syndrome or Takotsubo disorder does disproportionately occur inside of women, but it does happen in men as well.
Wow.
So we understand that stress itself, a massive surge of stress, can increase the risk that the heart becomes paralyzed. The heart no longer squeezes inwardly, where it squeezes 2/3 of the blood out. It now becomes paralyzed and it becomes like a balloon. And so it balloons outward instead of squeezing in. And that's what we call
Mm.
Takotsubo or stress-induced cardiomyopathy. And so when this happens from a neurological surge, the same person I was working on, he was watching my Lakers. No, I'm sorry, my Cowboys, as we got beat down, all
Wow.
right, by the Bills when he started having this chest pain.
Wow.
That's stress, literally. That's the
Wow.
story. I was joking with him afterwards. I was like, listen, don't be like me and get stressed watching the Cowboys. So that's my team. That's when I started having chest pain, doc. Right. And so
Yeah.
this is what can happen. So it affects men and women equally the same. So I felt it was important because as a cardiologist, obviously I'm going to talk about heart disease, but we know the same thing translates over into diabetes, that stress is related to diabetes, not just from the psychosocial perspective in terms of the foods that we eat, the lack of sleep that increases your risk, but just by itself as well. High blood pressure, all these things. And don't forget, I mean,
Erectile
racism is a form
dysfunction.
of stress and erectile dysfunction too.
Yep.
Well,
Yep.
wow.
Yep. I had
And
to add that in because similarly to cardiovascular disease, if you are stressed and your cortisol levels are high, you're not going to get an erection. I mean, you are stimulating your sympathetic nervous system, your fight or flight, and your blood is being dispersed away to your limbs to get away, and so it's not going to go where you want it to go. And so, guys who have stress, performance anxiety, it is deleterious to our erections as well. But I had a question because this whole broken heart thing, like that's kind of scary. Like, is there anyone or is there a type of person that's more prone to this? I know you said women, but is there like a certain other comorbidities associated with having that broken heart syndrome?
Not yet. There's a lot of research that's going into it in terms of what are some of the precursors to background, whether or not it's a type A personality who's prone towards it. I mean, I think one of the key things that some psychologists have brought out is that how we perceive our environment becomes important, even the stress. So, Isaac, as you were talking about, I have a stressful day coming up. If we change the dynamics in the way in which we perceive it, and that this is my body mounting to prepare me to handle whatever I'm confronted with, because I'm not in a threat response, I don't have what it takes. I'm actually inside of a challenge response. I have that Steph Curry response of, listen, I put up 1,000 shots. Give me the dang on ball. I'm going to shoot that bug, right? I'm gonna shoot it. And so when you have that perspective, I have what it takes, that all of a sudden we see that the longevity begins to increase based on how you perceive the world around you. That old adage that life is only 10% what happens to you, 90% how you respond to it. In terms of recognizing your resources, the preparation that you've gone into leading up to that point in time.
all right, let's get personal. You go through the acronym in your head and tell us which one is the hardest for you
Yeah.
personally to
Hmm.
achieve or conquer, or you just
Yeah.
know you slip on a regular basis.
Um, Forgiveness. Dude,
Oh,
Mm.
I'm not good. Either personally with myself, it's like, "Dang, how'd you do that?" Or either with others, holding grudges. Like, man, that's messed up.
hmm.
I'm gonna let it pass, but nah, nah, nah. I'm not letting it pass up in here. And that forgiveness is a problem, right?
Mhm.
Um, true gratitude, true gratitude, meaning that, or I should say, true volunteering. I'm doing something without expecting anything in response, not even a thank you. Is it a gift if I want you to say thank you? Is that really a gift? You're giving me back something to make me feel good, right? So I'd say that probably is the exercise is easy. I'm not, spirituality, I'm not gonna say it's easy, but exercise and food are gonna be easy. Intimacy of true laying that guard down, even
Mm.
at times with my wife, is not always easy. I don't
Mm.
always easily drop that wall down. Like
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, yeah,
that
yeah.
wall still is up. So it's not a true intimacy where I'm fully exposed, saying this is me, right?
Mhm.
So those are hard for me. Um, those are two areas that are probably hard for me. And the third one that's next up would probably be sleep and rest because my mind won't stop.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah. But it's crazy that you and I are different. And when you said exercise is easy, that's going to be high on my list as hard. And forgiveness is easy for me. Forgiveness really comes
Mm,
easy for me. It
oh, that's
just it
good.
just shows how different two people can be.
Yeah.
I've got to work on exercise. I've got to work on. I got to make it a daily thing.
It's and it's man, it's hard. I When I say it's easy, like that's my stress reliever.
Okay. Yeah.
When
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
for me to get in there and do something, I don't have time to go and say, let me go play a game of basketball, let me go play pickleball, let me go do something like that. That I love competition. So
Yeah.
I don't have time to do that per se, but I can jump into like doing a quick Peloton ride, right? And see my
Yeah.
PR
Yeah.
and I'm competing against myself. And I feel better when I come out. I'm listening to music. I hit it. I'm going. I get the little pump from doing a little workout, and I go. So
That's good. That's good.
yeah, yeah,
All right, let's wrap it up. We lost Q, or maybe he's back. Tell us, let's wrap it up. Tell us, when does the
yeah.
book come out and where can you get it?
Man, I'm gonna tell you. So thank you. The book is going to be dropping this spring. It's either going to be towards the end of March or April. Still determining with my publisher, but right now it's available on drbatiste.com, Dr. DRBATISTE.com. Soon it will be on all the other platforms on Amazon and Barnes and Nobles and so forth. But you can get it directly right there, pre-order right now, right, and get a special
Great,
gift.
great.
Preparing some stuff for you.
All right, again, the name of the book is Selfish: A Cure for a Stressed and Broken Heart by Dr. Columbus Batiste, a cardiologist, an interventional cardiologist, if I might add.
Yeah.
All right, that's our show. We don't have Q here to hit the stop button.